Microsoft Word 2003 mail merge and field format. Now, I am going to be giving you guys a powerful tool to be used to create letters that are personalized, but yet it contains the same material. And just like that famous movie Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. So use this wisely. In this video, we're going to take a look at the mail merge wizard. And that means that we're going to take a look at how to do some form letters, how we can insert fields onto our documents, and then maybe finish it up with a little look at labels and how the different choices we have. So now that you're all ready to go start doing your mass mailings to maybe have your kid sell fruit for his band camp or whatever you would make a mass mailing to all your friends and family. Maybe you like to do Christmas letters to all your friends and family, and you just want to use one letter and then have it automatically put in their address and their name, and then maybe even whatever it is, information about them. You can do that with these form letters, and you need to use what is known as the mail merge. Now, we showed you this early on, this tool. If you come up here to Tools, Letters and Mailings, and remember I said you got mail merge and all this, and then envelopes and labels is what we used earlier in the video series, just to print an envelope and how to print labels. You have letter wizards which help you do it, but mail merge is the one that I typically find myself using more often than not. So I click on mail merge, and it's going to come up to you and it's going to say, all right, what type of document are you working on? Now just recognize that mail merge allows you to do a lot of things. You can do email, envelopes, labels, and directory. In fact, if you click on either one of these, it tells you what it does. You can send emails to a group of people, personalizing the email message. A lot of people like to do that maybe for your group. You got envelopes, print address envelopes. So once you do the letters of all the people, you can come back here and do the envelopes too. It's kind of cool. Or if you already have envelopes, you can print labels to stick on something else. And something that I find very neat, if people have telephone numbers they need to call and they don't want to do a search, they're like printed copies, you can print a single document with all of the names, numbers, addresses, that kind of stuff. So let's stick with letters. Letters are pretty much the most common way of utilizing the mail merge process, either envelopes or letters. And this is going to contain merge fields for your name and address of each one of the people you're trying to send to, along with the text that will be the same in all the letters. What do I mean by that? Well, let's show you how this works. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do before you can even create a form letter to start, you typically need to specify either an existing data source, or you're going to need to create one in order for you to merge that data. So when we click on starting the document, I've picked letters. The next thing it's going to do is, how do you want to set up your letters? Do you want to use a current document? Start from a template. See, if I select this, it'll allow me to come out and pick a mail merge template that I might have built. And we might even have an existing document out there. Let's say you've used a Christmas letter, already typed it up, and now you want to use that existing document. You can do that as well, and you can find those files, and just by clicking the open, and it'll open up the file menu there. But let's go ahead and use the existing current document that we have right here. And we're going to start working on our document in just a minute. Next, select the recipients. This is the part where you find the data source or build a data source. You can use an existing list, which is any database that you have out there. You can use the Outlook contacts if you want. You can use the existing list. You can come down, type a new list if you want to create one. If I click on create, it says, all right, start typing in the information, and you can start editing the information. And we can say the title is father, first name James, last name Ward, company name Dads Are Us, address 456 Memory Lane. And you can see what you can do, and you can delete the entry, find an entry. You can do all this once you start typing in more and more and more of these things. You can filter and sort and customize, as we'll see on the other page. So you have a lot of options here. Let's go ahead and delete that entry. Go ahead and close that. And then, or it can say, do you want to save this as a Microsoft Office address list? Let's go ahead and cancel that. It says, yes, I understand. I'm discarding the changes to the current address. So I go ahead and hit cancel. So let's go ahead and select from my Outlook contacts. Choose contacts. Typically, the one I've used in the past when I've practiced this, it's the contacts in the personal folders. But how did I get that? All I did was come out here to Outlook, Click OK. That's my profile name. I selected my contacts, clicked OK, and then check this out. It brings you up to all of the contacts that you have in your Outlook and whatever that particular profile or contacts list is. In this case, I went ahead and put in some people that I know in here. Of course, making all this stuff up here about addresses and where they live and companies and something like that. But all you need to do right here is select either all of them. You can clear all of them. You can select individual ones if you want. It's up to you. Let's go ahead and select all. And if you select on this, if this is a list that had been built, remember this recipients has been pulled in here. If you've built this, you can go in and edit it if it's something that's been built within Word 2003. This comes from Outlook. Then you can select all. You can refresh. Maybe you went back out to Outlook and you added a whole bunch of contacts and you wanted them in here. You can click refresh, and it will go out and it will pull in any more of those new ones that you had. I obviously didn't add any. You can go find people. So if you want to look through this whole, if you have list upon list or many different people, you can go out and find those. So all this, I say OK. Once I click OK, I can now write my letter. So I click Next. Now it says, if you haven't already done so, write your letter now. You can add the recipient information. Now there's different types of things here. You have address blocks, greeting lines, electronic postage. If you're utilizing this on your envelopes or labels, you can do postal barcodes that they can be scanned. And there's even more items that you can choose from. Now I'm going to go ahead and choose the address block. And it's going to say, all right, you want to insert an address block. Now, how do you want it to appear? Do you want to insert the company name? Do you want the postal address? Only include the country region if different than the United States. So you have different things you can change. Never include the country region in the address. And this is what it's going to look like. Mr. Josh Randall, Blue Sky Airlines, Airport Way, Kitty Hawk, United States of America. I'll go ahead and say that looks good. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to add an address block. Now what your mail merge just did, and something you need to know if you are doing this in an exam situation, ding, 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 is you need to come up and you can insert it as an individual field. Insert, field. If you don't see it, click the expand. There it is, field. And it brings up the insert field. Now I already inserted the address block. I want the greeting line. I click on the greeting line. Sounds good. Click OK. Now I have a greeting line that's set there. Now the greeting line is already set up to say dear, and then it can do that. So that's how you would insert a field if you want. Now if I backspace out that field, I can also do it from here, and it will automatically edit it for me. It'll say, how do you want the greeting line format? Now I could have done that from the field box, but I didn't. So I'm doing it here so you can see how you can use it from Write Your Letter. So dear Mr. Randall, dear sir or madam, if it's an invalid recipient name, you're just not there, it'll just put sir or madam. It shows you exactly how it might look. I can change it to colons, none, commas, Mr. Randall. I'll go ahead and just use their first name. I'm on a first name basis instead of their nickname, so it'll do their full name, or you can do nicknames if they have nicknames. So if it's a real personal letter, you can use a first name or a nickname. I'll go ahead and use a first name. I know all these guys and gal. So I click OK, greeting line, and I'll type in, thank you for choosing Acme Instruments Inc. for your musical instrument needs. We hope to do business with you soon. Sincerely, Chris Ward, President. I'm the president for today. Okay, so now I've typed this in. Now I know that's probably a little bit more typing than what you want to see, but see what I've done here. I've put these fields in here, and the next thing you can do, if you select down here, is preview my letters. I love this. Select next. Here's my first person, Dan C. Address. Dear Dan, thank you for choosing Acme Instruments. That's my recipient 1. I can click on the next one. Here's James C. Here's me. Oh, I guess I'm sending myself something. I'm not only a customer, I'm the president. There's Jeremy. And there's Christina right here. Now notice if I select it, This is a field. Notice how it goes to gray? That tells me that this is a field that I put in. If I click here, I can see that that's a field because it instantly goes to gray when I'm set up right here. Now, if I click off of that, it's just regular text here. So I do have my field. Now, you can also exclude the recipient. Maybe you're clicking through and saying, you know what? For example, come back here to me. Well, you know what? I probably don't want to send me one. So I can exclude this recipient. Now I'm not in there. There's two, James, Jeremy, Christina. And I go back and there's Dan at the very beginning. Now the next thing you can do is you can complete the merge. Now when you do this, it's going to say, do you want to edit individual letters or do you want to print them? So if I print them right now, of course you can't see it on my printer, it would go out and then it would just start printing my letters off. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm good to go. Now this is great because again, it enables you to be very personal with your letters, but yet at the same time, you can mass produce these things. If you have, maybe mailing lists of hundreds of maybe thousands of people, you can personalize those letters, print them out, utilizing mail merge. And again, mail merge doesn't care if you have a database or a directory that it needs to pull from, it can use that. If I come back here and I just go to some of the previous things here, it saves all your selections here. I can choose, type a new list. I can use an existing list. I can go out and select a different list or edit the recipient list if I want to, and I can go out to a database and file and bring in the names that I need to. I could have a huge database file, and it doesn't even have to be an Office 2003 database. It can be another brand's database. So, Office 2003 Word, I mean, it's not expecting you just have an Access database or a SQL database. You can use something else. So these are all cool. And a great way for us to go in and just create these form letters. So let's say we also wanted to add some more fields to this particular letter. We don't just have to use just the stuff that they have here. Let's say in front of the address block, hopefully I do this right. Yep, there we go. I want to add the date. Now that's one of my fields that I can do. Insert, field, and you can come down here and you can do the date. Now it's going to say, how do you want the date to appear? I love this. Use the Hijri lunar calendar. Insert the date and last used format from the insert menu. Use the Saka era calendar. I mean, they give you a lot of things. I actually don't even know what Saka era calendar is. Maybe we should do a Google search on it. All right. I do know that the date formats work for me, and these all work during just fine. So today, when we're recording this, it's Tuesday, June 27th, 2006. And so I go ahead and I say, yeah, that looks good. It's the date, the actual date, the year. That sounds good. So I go ahead and click OK. Now at this point, you'll notice if I start, I write my letter, looks good, preview my letters, it's going to use the same date all the way through every single letter. So I have that capability too. Now if I want to, I can come down here and add just about anything I need to, and just want to show you a couple of the other things. When you do insert the field, make sure that when you do this, that if you're not happy with any one of these things, if you need to edit something like that, that you go ahead and use the field, or if it has an update ability or advanced options, you can do this. Now the field codes, this is interesting. A lot of people say, what's this? Well, if you click on field codes, it tells you what the field code is based upon the programming that's within Word 2003. That's what the field code would look like in the actual documentation. Now you have options here, and you can do the formatting. Again, I said, remember, you can do the options. Formatting, picture switch, you can do uppercase, lowercase, first capital, title case, and you can add that to the field. So you have a lot of power here, and I wanted to show you this just because if you're sitting in a small dark room after spending a certain amount of money to answer questions on a computer screen, you might need to know where you can go and find the field codes. So go ahead and cancel that, and we're good to go. So there you have it, mail merge at its best. Now one other thing I did promise to show you is the labels. There's one other thing on the labels that is a little different. Starting document, select document type. Labels. If you do labels with the starting document, you'll notice it'll change all of a sudden now. I can now do label options. Label options is where you can choose the label products. Now Avery is pretty much standard, but there are other companies especially if you're from another country than the US. You've got Avery Standard, A4, A5 sizes, you've got A1, FormTech, you've got Rank Xerox, WEC a whole bunch of others. So if you buy a different brand than Avery, go ahead and select it from here. It used to be only Avery was the one that was supported in a lot of these programs. And look at all the different types. You know, every single one of these, it tells you what the width is, manual feed, laser and inkjet with the products. You can even do details, which shows you what they look like. This is what it looks like, the number down, top margins, side margins. So you can choose the type that you want, the page size. So click OK. So, and you can do new labels just right here, just standard new labels. If there's a new size or, you know, they came out with a new one since we've done it, even though, look at all these different types. Name tags, spine CD labels, anything you can think of printing, they can create these labels if you need to. So I did want to show you that as well as with the label options and how you would choose that on a blank sheet of paper. You would just create these labels. It would import, same thing as the mail merge for the form letters. It would go out to your database or your Outlook contacts, get the addresses and the names, and it would stick them right there on the labels. Who knew doing all this mailing could be so much fun? We took a look at some form letters. How I know you probably don't like getting them in the mail yourself, but how do you create them? We showed you how to do that with the Mail Merge Wizard. Also, how it's not just the mail merge, but you can insert fields like date, time. You can do calculations and other types of field codes that you can put into there. And then finally, a real quick look at labels. We got Avery labels. We got other European and Pacific Rim type companies that also produce labels. Well, Word will recognize those formats and then use that mail merge capability to print out all those labels that you can stick on your mailings. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.